Hello, today I'm going to show you the best painting brush for a digital artist. So straight away, if you're expecting me to tell you, oh yeah, use this fancy brush, I'm telling you, you don't need any fancy brush. The best brush, every professional artist will agree is the best, is this brush right here. Yes. This brush is the most basic and default brush you can find in Photoshop or in any program. In my case, I'm using Photoshop, and this is called the round brush, which again, very basic. The one I'm using is the hard round pressure opacity. So you have this brush, which is again the same round brush, but it doesn't have any opacity, it doesn't have any soft edges. And on the other hand, you have this brush, which is the same, but if you press lightly, you can make softer strokes. So it will allow you to create lighter values. It will allow you to do this, for example. It will allow you to create this kind of very soft gradients. So this is pretty much all you need. If you can make a hard edge and you can make a soft edge like this, so you can see the edges are kind of fading away. They're not very clear. They're kind of blending into the background. If you can make this too, you already have the perfect brush. You don't need any fancy brush or anything. And I'm going to prove you this by making full paintings just by using this brush. I'm not going to use any other random brush. You also have this one, which is very soft. I'm not even going to use this. I'm just going to use this one right here. It's the one I'm caring about right now. And for the record, before starting, if you're using Photoshop, which I am, you're going to find here on the top this setting that is the pen pressure. So if you toggle this setting, it's gonna make it a lot easier for you to blend in the colors. Also, the way I do it, if you are not able to get these super smooth transitions, I just, as you can see, I press Alt, which is the color picker. So if I just try to press lightly, I'm not gonna get a super smooth gradation. But if I color pick a softer color and I do it again, you can see how if I do it over and over again, it becomes way smoother and the gradient transition is a lot more believable. So if you still don't believe me that this is the best brush you can possibly ever use, I'm gonna prove it to you by painting in different styles and different kind of scenarios with this brush. So let's get into it. So you can see me here, I'm starting to paint with this brush exclusively. I had to resist the temptation to use another brush, I'll be honest. This first painting, I did it very fast. This was made in roughly 15 minutes and it was a bit of a good warm-up. So I tried to make different types of pictures and illustrations with using this brush. I try to make landscapes, as you can see here on the right. I'm trying to paint this landscape and trying to paint different pictures and different type of lightings just to prove that you can make everything with this brush. And you might have also noticed I'm using like little thumbnails instead of painting in the whole canvas. And I found sometimes it's easier to just do like this little thumbnails. It's just less intimidating to paint when, you know, you make a little like square and you start putting on the colors. It's less intimidating than using the entire screen, that's for sure. So here I'm painting an eye. I'm trying to be as accurate with my colors. And something very important I have to say, if you're drawing from a photo reference, it is very important that you don't color pick from the reference. I'm picking my own colors here in the color wheel. It's important that you don't color pick directly from the reference, because otherwise, how are you going to learn how to pick your own colors and stuff? In this eye specifically, I tried to resist the temptation of using an airbrush because you have this subtle red hues and it just felt easier, but I didn't do it. I just tried my best to stick with this brush because this brush really allows you to do pretty much any type of gradation, any type of form without limitation. So yeah, you have to have your tablet and your pen pressure properly set up if you don't want to experience any trouble with your brushes. Here I try to paint another landscape, but I think it's kind of a little boring. I don't know, I don't like the colors and the composition, everything looks kind of trash. It just looks so unexciting, but whatever. I try to make it quick. You can see all the brush strokes and everything. It looks pretty unfinished. Here I'm also trying to vary a lot my studies here and trying to paint all different kind of things and all different kinds of lighting. As I said, here I'm painting a statue. From the second painting I did, this all started to take a long time. I started to get a little bit tired mentally, and I'm gonna be honest, this statue was a little bit tricky because I had to be extremely subtle with my values and colors and everything. So as you can see, everything is barely visible. The changes in value, everything is just way too subtle, and I try to make it as believable as I could. And let me tell you something, I've used a lot of brushes since I started with digital painting, and the round brush is by far the easiest brush I have used. I've used it for a while, of course. I've been messing around with different brushes, and the round brush is the best brush if you want to get things in a very short amount of time. And so here I moved with this other painting. I tried to make a portrait. I didn't really fully like it. I mean, it turned out okay. You might also notice I'm not making any sketches or anything. I'm just straight up painting with this brush. I'm not using any guidelines because, it's obviously easier when you're using a smaller canvas. You don't have to do a lot of planning, but also I'm trying to focus a little bit more on shapes and using the shapes as a guideline instead of using lines. I figured it's a lot more practical to do it that way. Here I'm doing the last portrait, the last study here, which is in very extreme lighting. And I thought it would be fun to try to paint this. I thought, how would this look if I try to paint this with this brush? And I lazy it out a lot with the hair in the end. But I like the overall kind of lighting and the aesthetic of the picture. So yeah, as you can see here, this is pretty much about it. I also want to let you guys know that I'm doing art mentorships. So what I do is I pretty much get into a call with you and tracking your progress and kind of coaching you with all the techniques and everything. And it's meant for people who want to learn more about art, though. If you're interested, please check that out. You can also see here the full illustrations, the fun little paintings I did. I made all of this in one sitting, by the way. And anyways, this was all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.